Epithelial tissue is a basic type of tissue that lines the surfaces and cavities of organs in the body. Epithelium is responsible for protection, absorption, regulation and excretion, secretion, and detection of sensation. This tissue forms boundaries between different environments of the body, and most of the substances in the body pass through the epithelium. As mentioned before, epithelium provides a variety of services for the body. Epithelium protects the underlying tissues from radiation, desiccation, toxins, and physical trauma. It absorbs substances in the lining of the digestive tract. The secretion of sweat, mucus, enzymes, and other products that are delivered by ducts come from the glandular epithelium. There are two forms of epithelium that exist in the human body: covering and lining epithelium and glandular epithelium. Covering and lining epithelium forms the outer layer of the skin, lines open cavities in the respiratory and digestive system, and covers the walls of organs of the closed ventral body cavity. The glandular epithelium surrounds glands within the body. There are 5 main characteristics that define epithelial tissue. The first characteristic is an apical surface and a lower attached basal surface that differ in structure and function. Apical surfaces have microvilli that provide more surface area for secretion and absorption. The basal layer filters molecules from going into the epithelium. This creates an apical basal polarity.
Almost all types of epithelial cells fit closely together and form continuous sheets, with the exception of glandular epithelium. These sheets are made possible through tight junctions and desmosomes. The tight junctions keep close contact between cells and help keep proteins in the apical region of the plasma membrane. Desmosomes are structures that connect the plasma membrane to intermediate filaments in the cytoplasm. All epithelium is supported by connective tissues. Deep inside the basal layer is the reticular lamina that forms the basement layer. The reticular lamina is made up of a material formed by collagen proteins. The cell layer of the tissue faces the organ or other structure, and the basement layer supports and cements the epithelium to prevent it from stretching and tearing in the body. Epithelium is avascular, meaning that it has no blood vessels. It is also innervated, meaning it supplies the organs with nerves. The epithelium is also regenerative. This means that the epithelium will come back if it is lost or shed, pushing the new cells upwards and replacing the dead cell layers. It regenerates as long as it has enough nutrients. There are several classifications of epithelium. The first part of each classification describes the amount of layers. The second part indicates the shape of the cell. For example, simple epithelia means there is one layer of epithelia cells, which are used for absorption and secretion. Stratified epithelia means there is 2 or more layers of epithelial cells, which are found in areas with friction and abrasion. All epithelial cells have 6 sides, similar to a cube. However, they all vary in heights. The simplest epithelial cell is squamous, which are flat and resemble scales. Cuboidal cells are shaped like cubes with the same length, width, and height. And the last type of cell is columnar, which is the tallest of them all, and are column-like in structure. The first type of tissue is simple squamous epithelium. This layer is close-fitting and flat. They are found in areas of the body that filter materials, such as the kidney or lungs. There are 2 special types of simple squamous. The first type is endothelium, which reduce friction, and the second type is mesothelium, which line cavities and organs.
The more complex version of squamous tissue is stratified squamous. It is formed by 2 or more layers of squamous cells. This layer forms the outer layer of the skin, called the epidermis. The epidermis is keratinized to protect the skin. Other layers are non-keratinized. Stratified squamous tissues also extend into all of the body openings that are continuous with the skin. Another type of epithelium is simple cuboidal tissue. As the name implies, it is made up of a single layer of cuboidal cells. This layer can absorb and secrete liquids. It can survive harsh conditions that the squamous layer cannot survive. They can be found in salivary glands, thyroid follicles, and kidney tubules. Stratified cuboidal tissue is made up of 2 or more layers of cuboidal cells. This tissue is rare within the body. It is primarily found around sweat glands, mammary glands, and salivary glands. It surrounds the ducts of these glands and provides them with protection. It also helps to produce hormones in both males and females. In addition to these tissues, there is simple columnar epithelium. This tissue has 1 layer of columnar cells. It is found in areas where there requires a lot of absorption and where there is a lot of wear, specifically in the digestive tract. This layer contains microvilli to increase surface area to help the tissue during the absorption process. Stratified columnar epithelium is made up of 2 or more layers of columnar cells. Much like the simple columnar epithelium, this tissue is rare in the human body. This tissue occurs in transition areas that exist between other epithelial types. Small traces of it can be found in the pharynx, the male urethra, and the lining of select glandular ducts.
In addition to stratified columnar epithelium, there is pseudostratified columnar epithelium. All pseudostratified columnar epithelium consists of differently sized cells, causing it to vary in height. As a result of the varying cell sizes, the tissue appears to have several layers when it actually doesn't. It is commonly found in the lining of the respiratory tract. Transitional epithelium consists of both cuboidal and columnar cells. These tissues form the lining of hollow urinary glands and stretch when these organs fill up. The cells in this tissue have the ability to change shape. Cells on the apical level will take on different shapes depending on whether or not the organ is stretched out. In keratinized epithelia, the most apical layers of the tissue are made up of dead cells that have lost their nucleus and cytoplasm. These dead cells are constantly being lost and replaced by cuboidal and columnar cells on the basal layer. These cells contain keratin, a tough and resistant protein. This makes the epithelium waterproof. The second type of epithelium is glandular epithelium or glands. There are 2 types of these glands, endocrine and exocrine. Endocrine glands secrete fluids internally. It produces hormones that flow into the bloodstream or lymphatic fluid to reach certain organs. These hormones trigger a specific response to different organs so that they may function within the body. Exocrine glands produce fluids externally. It releases products onto the body or within body cavities. Such fluids can be oil, sweat, mucus, or bile. Another example is salivary glands, which produces saliva in the mouth. Unicellular exocrine glands produce mucin, which dissolves in water to form mucus. This substance lubricates certain parts of the body.